Good morning, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all over the world. We start on the sails today. You see I got my drawings out here, and we're first looking at this yard here in the back on the mizzen mast and those two big gaffs. So I prepped this sail by pre-sewing it onto this gaff and got some of the ropes for these pulleys done. So I'm looking at the ropes I need to support the gaff and to raise and lower it on the mast area. And what we need at the bottom is on a different drawing, which I gotta find. But in the meantime, you got this one prepped here for installation. I got a couple more I'm going to do on here. These long ones here are going to go down to the deck and tie off a certain spot. And then this is the bearing that's going to wrap around the mast and tie off. And then we got all these other blocks to hook up on the sail and the gaff. So I've been able to get all this pre-threading done before we install it, and that makes it a lot easier to work on, because once we put it over here on the ship, somewhere around there, we got to run some ropes out of this pulley to hold it up, and then tie this around it to make it hug the mast. And we may raise this up a little bit to it's going to have some support ropes too. But we got to get this installed where it'll hang there. So I'm going to prep some ropes that tie off in order to hang this before we bring it over to the ship and hang it. We got one there that's gonna tie off to the mast and then go down through a block and then back up to another block and then down to another block and then down. That'll support that gaff, so we want to put that rope ready, get some wax on it and super glue on the end so we can thread it easy. And then that'll make it a little easier to install. So that's what I'm going to do next. Get that baby ready to go on. This particular sail has got quite a bit to it, but that'll be the first parallel sail we install on there. I think when it's done, it will look strikingly similar to that one. Okay, we got the bearing tied around the mast. I just used a clamp there to hold this up a little bit. I'm looking at the print over there on the wall. And the other end of this is tied off up top there, so. We got ropes everywhere right now. So this one's going to go through that block over here. And then back to this block. And I'll be able to adjust the position of this once I get it somewhat tied off to everything. And see that there? This is another thing in the way. I should have went behind that. So I'm going to pull this out. Maybe I shouldn't. It doesn't show enough detail on the plan. This should go in the other side too. A lot of times after you get something started, you end up taking it all off and starting over. So that'll help that stay there. I'm going to put this on the front now. Let this one go. the back side of that shroud. And then come through this block. Which I can't see. So that's going to go down and tie off to the deck somewhere. And I think it needs to go down behind the railing. I got to look at the plans. $742. $742 ties off on the rack. Looks like right on the pole of the rack, but I would assume. I got a bearing on one side, but I don't have it on this side. Either way, it's going down to the rack. So we got to catch it, bring it through. Get it to go down there. So and we got some more ropes we got to tie in here to hold this up so we can remove our clamp. And all these will go back and tie off on the rack somewhere. But that's our main support for that sail. We just got to figure out where to tie it off at down here. I think it's going to go around that bearing. There's a bearing there, because it points to this pole. It actually points to that pole, and there ain't no bearing on that pole. Maybe I put these in backwards. Figures. Yeah, they're showing the bearing on that left side instead of the right. And 742 is going to the back, toward the back of the ship, which is going to be here. Lovely. I'm just going to go around underneath this baling pin rack, tied off there. And then I'm going to pre-glue a piece of thread, figure out where it goes, and get all these blocks tied in here. One rope at a time, though. One rope at a time. I got a bunch of them hanging there now. Time to terminate as many as I can. Oh, is that enough ropes for you? Just on one sail? Yeah, it took me probably 4 hours. So we got these ones here that are hooked to the edge. Then we got a divot out here that pulls off of a double block. Then we got one on each side of the single block here going to another single block down to an eyelet. And we got a cleat on the back wall there on each side. It's tying off. And then also from the divot to this double block on both sides, and then to the bearing. And then 2 ropes going to some baling pins here on both sides that are also tied into another double block. So and we got 2 double blocks in the top and another double block or single block here. No, that's a double block there. Doing some more support and lifting that go back down. So there's one after another after another. And I know some of them aren't true to the ship because I couldn't find them in the print properly. Been through this time and time again. But there's some here that are into the baling pins, and then some that probably go into those double block pulleys that are around the base of the mast. So the drawing is too small to tell exactly where, which is just lovely. So I just picked a spot. We know we got the right number of blocks in there and the right number of eyelets based on the on the other side of this print is showing all those details, but it doesn't show these ropes now when we get down into doing it. So that sail is done. Much as I'm going to do on it, I guess. So next we'll probably do these lower ones last because they're going to be in the way of doing other things down here, especially around these mast bases. We got a lot of ropes to put in around there. I got some tails here to cut that are just wrapped around that to hold them while they were drying. So we'll work on doing some of the upper sails here in the middle. We got 1, 2 big ones there, and then 2 here, and then 3 in the front. So that's 3. But we don't want to do the lower ones until we can get most of the other stuff done up near the top. The ones that are on these ropes are a lot simpler than the ones on the yard arms. So I might just do the top set and then leave the other ones until we get the yard arms done, because there's a lot of ropes that are used on the yard arms. Each yard arm's probably got 8 or 10, depending on which yard arm it is, different ropes coming down to the deck. So but at least we got, this is one of the harder sails because of all the rigging that's involved with it. But so it's time to grab the next sail out of the box and move this out of the way so we can get the next sail set up here with our jigs and holders and get it ready. I think I'm going to pre-install all those brass rings on the sail, and then when I get ready to set them up here on these tie ropes, we'll open the ring up enough to get it around the rope as we install it. And then we'll just have a few lines on each one. At the beginning of the sails this week. So keep on trucking. Okay, we're getting the next sail ready. That'll be this one here. It's got a little straight edge on it on that front side. So we got 2 ropes up top, one for pulling down through a pulley to the deck, and another one for pulling up through a pulley back down to the deck. Now we got one on the bottom on the back side and one on the bottom on the front side. And then this short one here will tie off to the main mast. It doesn't go down to the deck according to the drawings. I'm just showing you here how I'm doing these eyelets. So I spread them apart like that. And then I pre-marked the sails with a little dot with a Sharpie every 13 millimeters, so I got the correct spacing that matches the print up there. And then we get this through that dot, missed, grab it on one side, I'm closing it back up so I don't lose these until I'm ready to. I'll just grab it once I get the sail on the ship and partially held down. I'll just grab it on one side and then come in there with the pliers and grab the other side and just open it up enough to get it around that main rope that these are going to run on. So that one's ready, I think, to go on. Now I do need to add a pulley up here on this main rope though, that's showing on the other plan, and it's showing on this big drawing too. So I need a pulley there for that one rope to come up, and then that'll go down and tie off. And I got to install that on the main rope. Either here or here. I think it's here. Yeah, the bottom one. 468. It's tied on there. So that one rope will go through it. $468. You see how I got these pre-numbered so I know which block is which. It'll be one of these. We'll pre-lace that in the vise here, and then we'll tie it onto that rope on the ship. Well, that took a couple hours, so it wasn't too bad putting all them rings onto the big rope. Similar to just putting it on the sail. This time I used 2 pair of pliers. Grabbed it on one side and then twisted it open and hooked it over the rope and then closed it back up again, and one at a time until we got them all on there. I had a clamp up here holding it in place. So once I got all them hooked on there, then I threaded this first pulley and this other rope to go up to this other pulley and block and get this top end tied off. So this one goes down to a baling pin, and then the other one that's up here goes the other way and goes through that big eyelet and down to a baling pin. And then we got a lanyard in the back with the block on it, and that's tied off to an eyelet on the deck. And then over here, let me get this camera down here where you can see that. So over here we got a double block, top and the bottom, and the bottom part of that sail tied off to that into a baling pin so they can pull down on the bottom of that sail. So that one was a little tough getting all that threaded. The other ones weren't too bad, but this one had 2, 3, 4, 5 ropes and 13 eyelets in order to get it installed. So one more done. I think that takes care of this one. So next will be that one, which is a pretty good sized sail there. Go on this rope here. Yeah, I think it's that one right there. So I was able to find the different spots that we needed. You know, that's the one pulley we added on the standing rigging there. But I was able to find the different spots that we needed to tie down at on here. So that takes care of all the tie downs on this sail. Which wasn't too bad. These are going to be easier than the one we just did in the back. But it's still tedious, especially when you get down into here and you start working around these masts. There's a lot of crap in the way.